that when you were younger, you wanted to be an attorney? You grew up with your dad as an attorney.
You know, I remember seeing my father, I guess it was 94, and he was doing some sort of similar radio show in New York, and I remember seeing his face on TV, and I was just mesmerized, like thinking my dad was a superstar and he was on, you know, he's a superstar to me and always will be. Let's just leave it at that.
Thank you, Brandon. That
Well,
is
your
so
dad's a
sweet.
good guy.
Right,
You know?
he is.
Hello, True Crime Stories family. Welcome. A disbarred lawyer planned the death of his own father. It was all premeditated. Paul Labiner and his son Brandon Labiner was both lawyers who worked together at Paul's law firm for some time, but Brandon's poor work ethic and bad performance caused his dad to lose clients. In 2022, Brandon began acting erratically and lying to his father about client interactions. Brandon got scammed by a foreign client. Then he began stealing money from the trust that was for Brandon and his mother's personal use. This is a sad story about a bitter dispute that had been brewing for years between a father and son that turned deadly after Brandon shot his father, Paul, and took his life. Paul was a father that looked out for his son and gave him multiple loans and money to help his son's failing law firm, but that wasn't enough for Brandon. He started stealing to finance him and his wife's fancy lifestyle. He stole over $400,000 from his mother's trust account, then he tried to frame it on his father because Paul had a bookkeeper that stole his client's money, so Brandon said he took the money to cover what his bookkeeper stole. However, after a forensic investigation was done, it was determined that Brandon did steal the money, and his father wasn't lying. Paul's old bookkeeper, Janet Blissett, is facing embezzlement charges in New Jersey for stealing more than $3 million from the law firm. Numerous clients sued Paul, saying that his bookkeeper stole funds from their account, and Paul was also suing his old bookkeeper, Janet, for the money she stole. Paul's son and his bookkeeper were both stealing from him, and Brandon may have been aware of her stealing but didn't tell his father. Paul got Brandon barred from being a lawyer after he stole from his mother's trust fund. They were scheduled to go into deposition about the money this summer. The day before the shooting, Brandon filed an application with the Florida bar to have his membership revoked, and the next day, he took his father's life. Paul's sister Ariel found her father dead and called 911 hysterically screaming, and she told them that her dad was shot by her brother Brandon. The officers arrived and talked to Ariel, who identified her father, but she told them that she didn't see her brother shoot her father, but she suspected that her brother did it. She told the officer that she was supposed to meet her dad at the nearby Costco, but he never showed up, so she went to his law office where he was last working to check on him.
They're outside the victim's law office. Steve King joins us live from the estate planning office of Paul Labiner, who police say was shot to death by his son over the weekend. Steve?
Todd, well, these new court documents do say that 34-year-old Brandon Labiner is accused of shooting and killing his father, Paul Labiner, and the shooting happened here outside of the 68-year-old Paul Labiner's estate planning law office. Here's the first page of the probable cause affidavit showing the victim of the deadly shooting is 68-year-old Paul Labiner. The new report states Brandon Labiner rode his bicycle to his father's law office Saturday afternoon, as seen in this surveillance video, when he confronted his father and opened fire, shooting him 4 times. Police say they later searched Brandon Labiner's vehicle, finding the possible murder weapon, items that could have been used to destroy evidence like a gas can and a lighter, and clothes matching what he was wearing in surveillance video. Brandon Labiner's family members, who police say positively identified Brandon in surveillance video, did not have a comment when we called them today. Today we went to the suspect's home, where we saw the Boca Raton police dive team leaving the neighborhood. Police officials have still not confirmed what the dive team was doing in the water next to Brandon Labiner's home this week. Once again today, no one was at either Paul Labiner's law office or Brandon Labiner's law office 3 miles south on North Federal Highway, where police say Brandon Labiner barricaded himself Saturday night before eventually surrendering to law enforcement. Court papers also state family members say Brandon Labiner was going through a lot of stress, including having his law license suspended after his father sued him after Brandon was accused of stealing almost $500,000 from a trust fund. We reached out to Brandon Labiner's attorney, but we have not received a response. He's still in the Palm Beach County Jail with no bond.
Paul was found with his car keys in his right hand and his phone on the ground, but he still had his wallet in his pocket. 5 spent shell casings were found near Paul's body, and another live round of bullets was found in the parking garage trash can. When the detectives went to speak to Brandon's sister, Arielle Bergman, and her husband, Alexander Bergman, they told the detective that they suspect Brandon took her dad's life because they had a bad relationship due to a legal battle they had been in regarding the law firm. Brandon was under a lot of stress because his wife had a miscarriage and they are currently in the process of getting divorced. Over the past year, her father had issues with her brother hacking into their father's accounts and burglarizing the law firm. Her father made police reports for all of these incidents, and Brandon was in the process of being disbarred from being an attorney because of these incidents. Brandon told his sister that he purchased a gun a few months ago, and he made a comment that it would be better if someone was dead.
Out the window, and that's when I realized, oh, somebody really did get shot.
Francesca Maya was setting up her new art studio.
Like, it doesn't feel real.
When she says she heard 4 gunshots.
I was actually in the middle of painting while I heard the gunshots and the scream.
Police say a man was shot and killed in the parking garage below her new business.
Me and my mom were like looking outside like, what the heck is going on? And he was like, stay inside, stay inside. And we're like, is everything okay? He's like, just stay inside.
Boca Raton police arrested 34-year-old Brandon Labiner on charges of first-degree murder.
When I heard that it was an attorney, it was like, wow, it's like, of all people, you know, somebody that does this for, like, you know, they know the consequence.
The preliminary investigation finding a bullet to his head, chest, and 2 in the victim's lower body.
This, like, sinking feeling.
Police are not releasing the name of the victim killed, but a source says Labiner is grieving the loss of his father, and his attorney says he's denying the charges.
Brandon's sister and her husband spoke to him on the phone after the incident, and he lied to them. Brandon told them that he didn't have anything to do with what happened to his dad, and he didn't even own a gun. His sister said Brandon sounded very calm on the phone, and that was weird because he normally sounds like he was high off of drugs, but she doesn't know what kind of drugs he was on. After they hung up, Brandon texted his sister and asked her what time her and her husband wanted to meet up tomorrow so they could meet his cat. Arielle last spoke to her dad on the phone at 3:44 p.m. for 1 minute on the day he died, and he told her that he was getting ready to leave his law office to meet her at Costco. At 3:52 p.m., she received a notification on her cell phone that her father's law office door was closed. That would be the last time she would ever talk to her dad. Arielle was calling and texting her dad, but she never got a response. The investigators obtained video surveillance from the parking garage, and they saw Brandon arriving in the parking garage at 3:06 p.m., riding a dark maroon bike wearing a black helmet, a white shirt, black pants, gray and green sneakers, and a drawstring backpack. He then took his gun case out of the backpack and opened it to retrieve his gun. He sat the gun on the ground, then he put a black jacket on and started pacing around the garage waiting for his dad to come out. At 3:53 p.m., he picked up his gun and hid near the wall so his dad couldn't see him. As his dad is walking to his car, Brandon surprised his dad and jumped out, so they began to fight, and once Brandon got him on the ground, he shot his dad 4 times, then he ran out of the camera's view.
Homicide has now led Boca Raton police to this retention pond where the dive team, we're told, is looking for evidence. It is just the latest twist in a murder that is now shrouded in secrecy under Marcy's law.
First-degree murder here. State anything else?
In court, Brandon Labiner faced a judge charged with murder, but police aren't saying who the victim is, only that the victim suffered 4 gunshot wounds in the parking garage that happens to be below where Brandon Labiner's father has a law office. That office was empty and the door locked on Monday. On Saturday afternoon, police report a security camera spotted their suspect arriving by bicycle in the garage and with what appears to be a gun. The camera also shows him in a scuffle with another man before moving out of view. Police arrested Brandon Labiner, also an attorney, later that day. Both father and son have made headlines recently in legal circles over a lawsuit in which Paul Labiner accused Brandon Labiner of stealing over $400,000 from his mother's trust account to fund a struggling law practice, allegedly. The suit accused Brandon of poor work ethics and subpar performance as an attorney. This spring, his law license was suspended. Now he stands accused of murder, and as he faced the judge, Boca police were searching the pond behind an address linked to him. Again, under Marcy's law, the name of the victim here is not being released to the public, but a source close to Brandon Labiner does tell us that he is grieving the loss of his father.
The investigators obtained video from Boca Marina security that showed Brandon at 3:05 p.m. entering the parking garage and leaving at 3:55 p.m. Detective Tyson met with Ariel and her husband to show them the video, and they both separately confirmed that her brother was the person in the video with his bike and white t-shirt. A license plate reader captured Brandon's vehicle, a light blue 2023 Ford Mustang traveling north towards the law firm at 2:18 p.m. At 6:30 p.m., officers found Brandon's car parked in his law office parking lot. They went inside of Brandon's law office, and he told the cops that he didn't want to talk and he wasn't leaving his office, but they could call his lawyer Val Rodriguez. He gave the officers the contact information, too. The officers called Brandon's attorney, and his attorney helped to convince Brandon to leave his office and exit the building. Once he got outside, the officers arrested him on an active arrest warrant for a DUI. Brandon had 2 dogs and a cat at his law office that his wife came and picked up after his arrest. While the officer was inside of Brandon's office, they noticed the same Marin bike that Brandon was seen riding to his father's law firm. They also found a gun cleaning kit with a piece of paper with his lawyer's name on it inside of the bathroom in his law office. Officers obtained video surveillance from the Boca Inn that showed Brandon at 4:06 p.m. riding his bike northbound wearing a clear rain poncho. Boca Inn is 2.4 miles from the crime scene and 0.6 miles from Brandon's office. Officers obtained video surveillance from 495 Boca Car Wash that showed Brandon at 4:06 p.m. riding his bike southbound. Boca Car Wash is 2.7 miles from the crime scene and 0.6 miles from Brandon's office. Investigators searched a pond behind Brandon's house looking for the gun Brandon used to take his father's life. On July 2, 2023, Detective Murphy got a search warrant to search Brandon's office. They seized a key fob to Brandon's Mustang, the Marin bike he used, but it was missing the front tire, the missing bicycle tire, a white bike light, a black water bottle, 2 cell phones, a Dell laptop, and personal documents. The personal documents confirmed the legal battle and financial issues Brandon was having. While they were searching Brandon's office, they noticed that there were small pieces of black debris that looked like soot, so they called the Boca Raton Fire Inspector Kim Puchalski to inspect the debris. She confirmed that the soot was created from a fresh burn. Brandon was trying to burn documents and paperwork he didn't want investigators to find. On July 2nd, 2023, Detective Desiderato got a search warrant for Brandon's car, and they seized a clear rain poncho, black backpack, gun magazine, multiple boxes of ammunition, the gun box, a gas can, and a lighter. They also found a trash can with gloves, face mask, and a garbage bag with his clothes and sneakers that he wore. Brandon tried to set the trash can on fire that had his clothes and sneakers in it to get rid of the evidence. Brandon's sister and her husband told the detectives that they are scared for their lives and think Brandon may come after them for revenge.